From the excellent performance from arguably the best right back in the Premier League this season in Dominik Szoboszlai, to the excellent performance at left back from his partner Milos Kerkez, to the colossal performance of Virgil van Dijk as centre back, captain fantastic, to this brilliant cameo that Curtis Jones had in the second half to bring some much needed calmness and composure to the Liverpool midfield, to the very encouraging second half that Florian Wirtz showed in a Liverpool shirt, which is definitely so important going forward for Liverpool. Here are 5 things that we learned from that Liverpool victory over Arsenal, which meant that Liverpool are now 3 wins from 3, 9 points on the board. Even though they've not been amazing in all 3 games, they have still been able to get those wins, and this team is growing with the new players in there, with Arne Slot at the helm. This team will continue to grow, the performances will get better, and all that matters in these first 3 games was to make sure we get the results that we need before deadline day. Starting off with who I believe was definitely the man of the match, Dominik Szoboszlai at right back. What an unbelievable performance. He's playing in an unorthodox position. He was asked in his post-match interview, how many times have you played right back before? And he said 0. And he came and played right back away from home at St. James's Park against the likes of Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes, and now at Arsenal against the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Virgil, and left the pitch as the best player on the pitch. Who is Trent Alexander-Arnold when you have Dominik Szoboszlai in the squad? I know Jeremy Frimpong and Conor Bradley are both sweating after seeing that performance because it was just so complete. Playing as the right back, providing so much pass completion going forward, making sure he's got accurate passing. You can see he's got the 90% pass accuracy. But it wasn't just the easy passes he was making. He was finding some brilliant central midfield passes into his partners, Gravenberch, McAllister, even Florian Wirtz. But then his defensive contributions were absolutely ridiculous. The number of times I saw Martinelli try and take Dominik Szoboszlai down the line here, and yet Szoboszlai was always able to read it. He was always able to get back, use his body really well, get his tackles in, win that ball back from Liverpool, and then get Liverpool moving the ball forward. And Arsenal fans online I've seen proper criticizing Gabriel Martinelli, but Dominik Szoboszlai was all over him in that game. And then you talk about what he provides going forward, passes into the final third, 10. That is so important against a team like Arsenal. We needed someone with that composure, with the accurate long balls, finding 5 of his 9 long balls. Some of the switches of play, I remember one that he played to Florian Wirtz was absolutely ridiculous, and it really got Liverpool a foothold, especially in the second half. But that defensive performance is what has surprised everyone. Not only is he winning his ground duels, his aerial duels, he's defending his back post really well. He's getting so many clearances inside the box. There was a couple of times Virgil was able to take the ball past him, but he recovered really well, won the ball back from Liverpool. And then of course we have that moment, the free kick. Absolutely ridiculous. When he stood up for that free kick, I thought, surely Liverpool crossed this. There's no way they shoot from this position. But then I saw Dominik Szoboszlai stand on that free kick, and he said in his interview as well, he hasn't been able to take free kicks for Liverpool because of Trent Alexander-Arnold previously, who was also a very good free kick taker. But the one that he produced today, I have not seen in a very long time. 32 yards out, I think it was, and he smashes it into the top corner. David Raya, for as short as he is, I don't think his shortness was the problem for him not saving that ball. As I saw some Arsenal fans talk about, that ball flew into the top corner. It was a ridiculous strike, and one that really deserved to win this game that was so tight between both teams. I think it was like a 0.3 versus 0.4 XG. Minimal chances created, but if you need to win a game like that, you need to produce a moment of magic, and Dominik Szoboszlai was the one to produce that again today. He had a fantastic performance against Newcastle. He had a fantastic performance against Arsenal. And now this real serious question, which I want you guys to let me know down below in the comments right now. Should Dominik Szoboszlai be Liverpool's main right back going forward? Because that is a ridiculous performance from him. The next player we have to talk about, and that is Milos Kerkez. And in my opinion, he had a very tough game against Noni Madueke because Arsenal's main outlet was down that right hand side with Noni Madueke. They continuously tried getting him in, and in my opinion, I have to say at the start of the game I was a little bit worried because Kerkez looked a little bit slow against Noni Madueke. But one thing I have to say, this guy has a heart of a lion. The number of times I saw Madueke get the pace ahead of him, get the ball, but Kerkez was able to get back in his position and produce a brilliant tackle was so important for this Liverpool team. Don't get me wrong, in terms of an offensive outlet, Milos Kerkez wasn't doing too much. He done his normal passes to Cody Gakpo down the line, but what I was more impressed about was his defensive performance. Noni Madueke trying to take him inside, trying to take him outside. 5 out of 5 ground duels won. Then Arsenal also tried to use that height advantage that Madueke has. 2 out of 4 aerial duels won. It was a brilliant battle to watch between the two of them, but in my opinion, Milos Kerkez ultimately won that battle, which was so important because if Noni Madueke was able to take him a couple more times, Arsenal would have had a brilliant opportunity to cut back the ball. Then Max Dowman comes on for Arsenal and Kerkez is all over him. The youngster obviously isn't used to that intensity, to that level of defending like Milos Kerkez, who's someone who wants to get aggressive at you, get right next to you, and Milos Kerkez was winning that ball back and then clearing it, and his defensive contribution as a whole was so much better today in general. He looked a lot more comfortable as a third centre-back in possession, like I've spoken about. There was times where Szoboszlai was inverting, so then Milos Kerkez comes this third man in centre-back, and Madueke had the ball so many times in this position here. He was trying to cut inside, he was trying to go outside, because we know Madueke can go both ways, but Milos Kerkez stood strong, he stood firm, and even if Madueke did take him a couple times down the line, Milos Kerkez was able to recover, get the slide tackle in, and yes, Arsenal won a couple of corners, but of course, Liverpool against Newcastle had great training from corners, had great training from set pieces. Coming into this Arsenal game, they were confident, especially because Arsenal were missing a few of their in-swing crosses from Bukayo Saka, so they had to resort to out-swingers, which they're definitely not used to. But the box defending from the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate in this game was absolutely ridiculous, which moves me on to point number 3. He is the greatest centre-back I have ever watched. And I'm being honest. I've watched Ferdinand, I've watched Vidic, I've watched John Terry. Like I was at that age where I was able to watch them quite regularly. But Virgil van Dijk, in terms of complete centre-back, they wanted to talk about longevity when he was first doing it for Liverpool, but this is longevity. He's now 34 years old and he is still the best centre-back in the world. His passing ability has only gone from one level to another level. The way he was breaking the lines today, some of the passes he was producing to Ryan Gravenberch, to Alexis McAllister, the switches of play to Mohamed Salah, and I have to say, some of those passes is because Arne Slot has given Virgil van Dijk that license to be able to push the ball forward, to be able to drive with the ball. There were so many occasions where I saw him so aggressively dribbling with the ball forward, which is unlike Virgil van Dijk. And then you see off the ball as well. The one chance that Liverpool had, which was an excellent opportunity, comes from David Raya passing the ball to Zubimendi in midfield, and Virgil van Dijk eats him apart, gets that ball, and he gets into the final third. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong option because Ekitike was free on the left, but he chose to go to his partner Mohamed Salah, and it didn't work out. But the performance in general was absolutely monumental, and for a player playing centre-back to have 9 accurate long balls shows you just how important he was to actually getting that ball into the final third for Liverpool. Just like this, 8 passes into the final third from a centre-back. Such a complete performance, and he may not have had aerial duels, but there was many occasions where crosses were coming into the box from the corners and it was Virgil van Dijk getting his head to it, and it was so fitting that in the last minute when David Raya takes that free kick and you think Arsenal have an opportunity to get something here, it was Virgil van Dijk who stood tall, won the header, cleared it, and Liverpool ended up winning the game. And that moves me on to a midfielder that I want to talk about, and he is so disrespected for Liverpool, and that is Curtis Jones. There's so many occasions that I have seen that Liverpool fans just don't respect him, and for a 4th or 5th choice midfielder in your team to be Curtis Jones, that means you have an abundance of talent in midfield. And don't get me wrong, I love Alexis McAllister, but he was shocking in that game today, mainly because he's not fully match fit. He got eaten up in the press. He wasn't able to drive with the ball because you could tell he hasn't had a preseason. He's not ready for a game like Arsenal, but Arne Slot trusts him so much that he put him in there and forced him in there. But then Curtis Jones comes on, and the one thing I want to talk about is this 95% pass accuracy. And the reason I say that is he was finding the ball in very, very tight areas with 2 or 3 Arsenal players around him, and yet he knew knew how to keep the ball. He has this force field around him where players can't quite get into his zone, and that allows him to get the pass off. That allows him to get his teammates into the game. Bring some calmness and composure to that Liverpool midfield. Don't allow Arsenal to get that ball back quickly. And some of the movements that he was making as well, because if you look at the goal that Dominik Szoboszlai scores from the free kick, it's Curtis Jones bringing that ball from deep, playing a couple of neat passes, and then making the run into space, which he's scanning so much to find that space. And if you see it, Virgil van Dijk actually has two options to play, Florian Wirtz or Curtis Jones. The defender goes towards that side. When the ball comes to Curtis Jones, the touch is positive. It's going forward. Now Zubimendi is forced to foul him. And when he gets fouled, Dominik Szoboszlai produces that moment of quality that we, of course, spoke about. Look at this, 4 passes into the final third. He only played around 30 minutes. A very, very good performance from Curtis Jones. Once again, because he came on in that Newcastle game and he was also the one who really brought some calmness and composure to that Liverpool team. He done it against Bournemouth, and just overall, I feel like he's had a very, very strong start to the season that Arne Slot can completely trust him. You can rest those midfielders now. You have the likes of Curtis Jones coming on and changing the game. But another midfielder that impressed me, and in that second half, and I'm so happy for him, Florian Wirtz was absolutely brilliant. In the first half, definitely struggled. Took him a little bit of time. Off the ball, I have to say, this guy is a monster, and I think it's being a little bit underrated. People make fun of it, like you paid 120 million for a player that's going to be an off-the-ball player for you. But it's such an underrated aspect of the high-quality games. Out-of-possession play is so important in the modern game that you need to be top out of possession for you to be a top player, especially in the center of the pitch. And Florian Wirtz has showed so far he can handle the intensity of the Premier League. Can he do it for 90 minutes? Not quite just yet, but he will get there eventually. And some of the plays that he was producing in the final third, in my opinion, were brilliant. You see that 3 out of 3 successful dribbles. A couple of times Declan Rice took a loose touch. Florian Wirtz was onto it. He was moving the ball forward. The crossfield pass from Szoboszlai. Wirtz's first touch was ridiculous. He produces a brilliant pass to Mohamed Salah, who unfortunately in this game, his first touch was abysmal. Every single time he had an opportunity to do something, his first touch let him down, because there was another play, Florian Wirtz in the center of the pitch again, finding that ball out to Mohamed Salah. Then you saw Zubimendi trying to bring the ball out from the back, but Wirtz was all over him, winning the ball back near the end of the game and getting Liverpool the ball back and moving Liverpool back forward towards the pitch. And that is why he had 5 out of 6 ground duels won. And if you watch the Newcastle game, Liverpool were not able to keep possession because Florian Wirtz lost a lot of those ground duels, but you can see the improvement already. He was winning his ground duels in this game, and just overall I thought that second half performance was encouraging. And Liverpool in general, in my opinion, are getting better. You can see it already. Not only was the defense so much more solid in this game, but it's the way they can adapt to their opponents. Bournemouth was an end-to-end game. Liverpool win the game 4-2. Newcastle was a tough set-piece game. They conceded 2 set pieces, but they were able to produce the offensive outlet and performance to make sure they win the game 3-2. And this Arsenal game was always going to be tight. It was all about making sure you defend your spaces really well. And every single Liverpool player was on it, including Ibrahima Konate, who had a phenomenal performance after a couple of tricky games that he had. I thought Hugo Ekitike tried his best, but it was a very difficult game for attackers in general. Cody Gakpo did really well in holding the ball up, and just overall it felt like Liverpool really showed why they were champions last season. Arsenal tried their hardest. I don't think they had a bad performance at all. Could they have been braver? Yes. Did they really have to start Marino in that attacking midfield role? Probably not, because they had Eze, they had Odegaard, they even had Waneri. And going with Marino sets a precedence that you want to defend more than you want to attack to an extent. And on top of that, could they have been a bit more braver towards the end of the game? I definitely believe so. But if you're coming to Anfield, you definitely want to be keeping a clean sheet so that you can at least draw the game and take that point going into the next game. I feel like Mikel Arteta has, unfortunately, on his side, always been on the wrong side of these results, whereas Arne Slot so far has been on the right side. He gets that bit of magic out of his team. He uses his substitutions really well. And the main thing is his positive mentality as a coach goes and instills into his team, and you see it game in, game out. They never give up, regardless of the scoreline, regardless of the time. And that is why Liverpool are now clear at the top by 2 points, 3 wins out of 3 going into an international break, and they could be adding Alexander Isak and Mark Guehi to the team. And I will be making an Alexander Isak video tomorrow about why he is going to be such a scary proposition to come up against, especially at Liverpool. So don't forget to like the video, comment your thoughts on the Liverpool vs Arsenal game, and Dominik Szoboszlai's position at right back. Should he stay as the right back, or will Conor Bradley or Jeremy Frimpong come back to take that spot and make it their own? Subscribe for more videos, hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload. Thanks for watching again, and peace.